Grab some coffee, a Mountain Dew, maybe both. A storm is brewing. The Brainstorm. Welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Hey, welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Mike is on vacation, enjoying some downtime at the beach with his family. I hope he's enjoying that. I was on vacation last week, as you know, down at the beach, but I endured a hurricane. So he's got much better weather for his vacation, which is good. I'm sure that all of you listeners and viewers to our show has thought about some common questions when it comes to business building, like starting a business. How long does it take to get up and running? How long before you actually start making money? That's probably one of the most common questions. How'd you decide on your products or maybe your prices or your services? Well, we have some experts of a small business that started a while back, Freddy, and I know that people have a lot of questions. That's why I'm so happy to have our friends and a small business owner here in Lexington, South Carolina, or the greater Midlands of South Carolina, on the show with us, Freddy. And I know that you're also close to them as well, because you're in a networking group with one of them.
Yes, exactly.
So we have with us Larry and Virginia Gates with Floorpro. And I appreciate you guys coming on the show with us today.
Thanks for having us out.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
We appreciate
it. Absolutely. I know we've been trying to get you guys on the schedule to come out and get on the show for quite some time. And
right.
in the midst of COVID and all the other things that's going on, and just small business ownership, right? I mean, It just takes some time to get things scheduled where both of you can attend the same thing at the same time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We've had some meetings with them in the past. So, guys, I have a series of questions for you I'm really interested in. I know Virginia and I have spent some time together in some networking groups and the chamber, and just seeing each other in the community a lot. And I've learned a lot about y'all's business. And it's very intriguing just to start a business and the emotions that run up and down with that. So, Larry, tell me how did you guys get started with Floorpro? And when did you get started?
So we started Floorpro 7 years ago. Actually started out of our garage at our house. Yeah, absolutely.
True small business ownership right there.
Very small. But I was in another business. I owned another business, and it went under because the contract that I had, the person who was giving me that contract filed Chapter 11. So I had to find something else to do and had to find it real quick.
So you had a business, and it was really just like one client.
Well, it was three clients, but one large client.
One major client.
65% of the business.
Okay, so that would really...
Too many eggs in one basket.
That teaches us an example right there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Diversity.
No so 7 years ago, and was it the same type of business that you had before?
Yeah, it was a facility maintenance business. Did a lot of traveling. I worked over North Carolina, South Carolina, and parts of Georgia.
Okay.
So this is a lot more concentrated in the local area. A lot more family friendly, obviously.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what made you get started? Like in this particular business, like you were thinking, obviously you had to do something because of the prior business kind of going upside down with the loss of 65% of your business being in one client. And so what was your thought process? You're thinking about, well, I need to do something. Where do we go? How'd you choose this business?
So, again, my previous business was facility maintenance, so I had a lot of background in cleaning and that type of deal.
Okay.
I'd actually already taken some certifications to become certified in carpet cleaning, and I was looking into expanding in that area. Just got to push. Okay. So I'd already planned on doing it, and then it just gave me the not the drive, but the
the
need to have to do it. There was no other option, right?
That's right.
So I went ahead and went and got a van and started out of my garage. It was just me by myself at first. Virginia was still working with Dr. Nick Norris over in West Columbia.
Okay.
Dentist. She was a dental hygienist.
Okay.
And so I started it up. She actually was 5 months pregnant when my other job ended. So,
so we
literally
needed
the day
something.
she went back off maternity leave, I picked up my first van. Literally the same day. And that's how it started.
Well, if I'd have known you back then, I'd put you under a stress test and see if you would have passed, right? There's no way you would have passed that stress test.
He and I both.
Yeah, I bet.
Put a lot of faith, a lot of faith in your spouse to make sure that, like, hey, this needs to happen, and it needs to happen quick. So it was, but yeah.
So was it tough? I mean, how long before you really started seeing some revenue or generating some clients? How long did it take you to get that? Because you just said that you bought a van, right? So you had to buy some equipment And so not only do you have to buy the van, you had to buy the equipment to go in it to do the job, right?
Correct, yeah.
So you had some financial outlay to get this thing started. How long before you got some clients, and was that just word of mouth, or where'd that come from?
Well, luckily, between Virginia and myself, we already knew too many people here in the area. Also, I joined BNI, Business Networking International, and I joined it over in Lexington, and that really helped. And then I was very fortunate at the time to find an online platform that really helped me out and generated a lot of leads for me. And that's really how I survived the first 6-8 months. After about the first 6 months, I guess it was 8 months, I was ready to hire my first employee, who's actually still with me. He's my operations manager. His name's Lawrence.
Awesome.
Nice.
And we couldn't do our job without it. He's amazing.
That is awesome. Well, what about like equipment and other things that you needed for the business? What was the progression with that?
So it started out, actually, I rolled the first loan altogether in the van. So the way I organized it was structured as a lease. And then all the equipment was rolled in that one lease and a van at the same time. So which was awesome for me, obviously one payment. Right. I took out a small business loan, $25,000, build a website and that kind of deal. And just, some running capital to get started. And that's how we started. So
that's awesome.
So Virginia, when did you come into play? When did you come into the business? Obviously, once it started bringing some revenue in, because you weren't going to quit your job before that.
Correct.
So tell me about your transition.
I had a great employer that I worked for over a decade, and really enjoyed working with him, but was ready for a transition and knew it was going to offer me a little bit more flexibility, especially since we had young kids. And he was, getting to a point where he's like, I can't answer the phones, run the truck, do this, go pick up equipment, meet this guy here for a business lunch. I can't do everything anymore. So aside from our first employee, I was ready to, take on an admin role and take some of the stress off of him with some of the things that I was able to do. So right at 2 years?
About 3.5.
Yeah. Okay. I can't.
Yeah.
It's a blur. It's a blur.
Time flies.
Especially when you have an infant, right?
But
Time definitely flies when you got a baby.
It does. But yeah, I took a big leap of faith and, decided to join him aboard and realized, we had worked together previously in another industry with my dad and knew if we could make it work then, we could probably make it happen again. So I decided to give it a shot. So, but started out, wanted to really define, what issues and challenges that people were having in our industry. So I did an independent study with a lot of my patients before I left dentistry and, was just asking questions about, what issues did you have? I'm hiring folks in our industry. And a lot of things came down to the same thing, and it was communication. So we built an entire platform on delivering concierge level service. And that's really been kind of the cornerstone on how we've operated and just keeping in communication with people, whether it's a residential or commercial account, delivering the same service and doing it consistently, helped us establish those bigger name clients that we needed and helped us continue to grow our client base so that we can be where we're at today. So.
And you guys really hit the nail on the head right there during that conversation, because I've used you. I mean, I'm a client of Floorpro, and you guys do a phenomenal job. One of the things that I definitely see is the customer service aspect of it, and I definitely want to dive deeper into that as well to give that illustration. But also, you said that when you came in, transitioned into the admin section, the importance of that role. Like Larry, you was driving a van and doing this. It's just very, very difficult when you're talking about having to do the work and then answer the phones and schedule. That's something that a lot of our business owners really struggle with. So, Larry, talk to me a little bit about those struggles specifically. We're talking with Floorpro, Larry, Virginia Gates, the proprietors of Floorpro, been around for 7 years. Larry, talk to me about the struggles of early days of trying to do the work, trying to keep the books, probably trying to schedule the calls, trying to have business networking to get more business coming in. What was that pressure and that stress like?
Well, it's very complicated. I mean, you're wearing a lot of hats. To be in someone's home, your pocket's ringing, right? So your phone's ringing in your pocket, and now you don't want to be rude and answer phone because we have a very strict policy about not talking on the phone unless it's an emergency in someone's house.
Good policy.
Right?
Yep.
Because they deserve all your attention.
Right.
However, the phone is ringing in my pocket. Well, now I got to decide, all right, this is a call that I could miss. And in our industry, a lot of people they open up their laptop or their phone and they go, okay, I'm going to call this guy. If he doesn't pick up, they're calling the next one down the list. Mm-hmm. So potentially, if you don't answer that call and answer it now, you're going to lose that client. And when you're first starting out, it's really hard not to answer that call. So you become a master at diversion and say, hey, I need to run out to the truck and grab a new chemical. And while you're out there, you pick up the phone, right?
Pick up the phone, yeah,
right.
absolutely. Yeah.
But that's a lot of in and out.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you're exactly right, because, that next call is your next job, right?
Absolutely.
Or soon to be job, hopefully. And you don't want to miss that, because as we both know in your business, your type of business, and whereas it's not unlike most service business, if you don't take that call, they'll just call someone else.
Yeah.
People want that gratification of whatever it is they're seeking right away. Freddie being our sales manager, you know all about that, Freddie,
That's
the gratification moment.
That's right. Yeah, people want it and they want it now.
They want to know, and the connectivity of devices is, I can easily get it right now.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point, Larry, about being able to try and just balance that, if you will, trying to balance the calls, but not be rude to the customer in which you're in. And so that's important. But Virginia, you came into play a couple of years after the business was going. So Larry's got a good infrastructure and foundation going, and you probably helped really establish that customer service, that customer experience, I would assume.
Correct. Yes.
So talk to me a little bit more, because you said you started doing a little bit of focus groups or just some question and answer with you in your previous job before you transitioned out.
Yeah.
What were you finding that communication was the key, but how were you planning on thinking that you would better communicate?
Well, we have the technology now to be able to do that. So it was a really big shocker when, out of all the patients that I interviewed, that was a common denominator. Was, nobody ever called me. I never knew when they were on the way, or it was a 12-hour window of time. And I didn't know if they were going to be here 8 in the morning or 8 at night. And, we knew how important, people's time are.
The stereotype of like the cable company or the phone company, right? I'll be there sometime next month.
Right.
you just need to be home for 30 straight
Absolutely.
days and I'll get there.
Exactly. Yeah. So we figured we could improve upon that a good bit. So we narrowed down our appointment windows to a 2-hour block for the most part, especially unless it's like a large commercial job or something. But time of arrival is in a small window of time. We send confirmation texts. We do emails. We even send photos of our technicians that are coming out to any business or home, so that we can already go ahead and build that trust with the client, especially if it's the first time they've used us, or it's somebody in a situation where, having that solidification of who's going to be coming to your business or home is just like that next extra touch that people are loving to see. And that's, before you even see us physically, that you have all these touches and confirmation. So that was important to us. We've both worked in the service industry our entire life as far as careers go. And so that was important to us to deliver still that awesome service, but just in a different industry. So it kind of goes across any type of business that you have, just to keep delivering that awesome service. So to do that and do it consistently is kind of what we were wanting to do. So,
The key to success is communication. We've had an entire show on communication before, Freddie.
Right.
So the communication, I don't know of a show where we haven't discussed communication.
Yeah, it's the key to everything.
It is the key to everything. Try to have a friendship with someone who you don't communicate with.
Exactly.
Try to have a good, solid marriage of which you don't communicate with each other.
Right.
Try to have a business and not communicate with your clients. You'll very quickly go downhill no matter what the relationship is. Communication is definitely the key to success. And so many people are always looking for new opportunities, right? We talk to business owners all the time, and they're constantly looking for new. I need new opportunities. I need more customers, right? And you have all of these customers back here that you've done business with for 7 years. You probably have hundreds and hundreds of customers that you've done business with over the years. And so tell me how important it is. I already know the answer to this question, but it's great to hear you guys answer this. How important is it to communicate and stay in touch with your past customers instead of just always looking for new customers?
It's huge. That's your database.
That's
They're
it.
your biggest advocates for getting you new business. They tell their neighbor or their sister-in-law or whomever, hey, these guys took great care of me. You need to give them a call. And it kind of goes from there. So they can be your biggest cheerleaders in helping you grow your business, especially when they call you and tell you, hey, you guys delivered an awesome service. I'm going to tell my whole neighborhood or write something on our neighborhood Facebook page about what an awesome job you guys did for us.
Yeah.
So that's where it starts. And, just being able to execute it again and again and again is a huge part of that.
So with all the experience that you've gotten, what's some of the hardest or toughest issues that you've come across over the last 7 years?
So for me, I'm a person who loves to please people. And coming to the realization that you cannot please everyone because it's just impossible. That
Life
honestly,
lessons.
that took me. I don't think I'm over it yet. I still try really hard to please everybody,
Yeah.
and it's not everybody can be pleased.
You probably take it personally too, don't you?
very.
Oh, of course.
My employees pick at me how personal.
It literally
I take
hurts your feelings.
It does. It does. I mean, this is my baby. This is what we created,
Yeah.
right? And so I want to make sure everybody's happy, and I want to make sure that our service is the best service. And when somebody has a problem, we want to fix it immediately. And so if we can't fix it, then I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me. So we've been talking to you guys now for a handful of minutes, and we learned about you. We learned about your business when you started. But I would be remiss if we didn't back up just a minute and talk about what it is that you guys even offer. Because a lot of companies, a lot of people listening will automatically think, okay, Floorpro and carpet cleaning. And it gets the stigma almost that that's all you do, right? Just carpet cleaning. But you guys do so much more than just residential carpet cleaning.
Correct.
So talk to me, Larry, a little bit about the diverse service line that you offer.
So it kind of goes back to the very beginning of our conversation when we were talking about how I started the business. So I started a business with a carpet van, and my intent was to clean all surfaces that you walk on, right? Hardwood surface, and we do that. We do, if you walk on it, we clean it. We also do upholstery. We can do upholstery in cars. We can do any sofa, love seat, mattress. But over time, you evolve in your business, like you were talking about earlier.
Right.
You're always looking for new avenues.
Absolutely.
Well, you go out and you buy a $70,000 machine in the van, and you go, man, cleaning carpet's great, but there's got to be something else I can do with that machine.
Yeah.
And so started looking around and realized the restoration industry, I already owned the most important and most expensive part of the process, which is extraction water, getting the water out of there. So let's look into that. And I went and I've taken all types of classes. At this point, I'm a master fire, master water, and master textile restorer.
Okay, fantastic.
So we do water mitigation, mold restoration, as well as fire restoration services.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a whole separate entity, but under the Floorpro umbrella.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. So you do full restoration, water, fire, mold.
Correct.
Right? And then you have the residential side of any type of flooring. If you walk
Cleaning.
on it, you clean it, right?
Correct.
But then you also have the commercial stuff as well, right?
Yes. And we can do both the cleaning and the restoration in a commercial setting as well.
Okay, all right. And so is that a separate division? Like, did you division your business off? You just said the restoration is a different division. It's under the same brand, same umbrella. Is your commercial or your commercial and residential kind of the same?
They're
division?
synonymous. They're together.
Okay, all right, yeah. Which makes sense because you're doing the exact same thing, whether it's commercial application
Just
or
different,
residential application.
different textiles that you're working with, but same process.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Much larger jobs, right? Much
Correct.
larger ticket items.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So I would assume that the residential side is more volume type stuff. Like you need to turn a lot more of those jobs
Correct.
than you do the commercial side. Is that
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you start talking about marketing and advertising, really you have three different marketing advertising lines, right? You have the commercial target market, facility managers, business owners, people like that. And then you have the residential target market, right? And then you have the restoration target market, which I would assume is also property owners, whether it's residential or commercial, but also probably insurance. Is it
Correct.
insurance?
Yeah. Well, the good
Yes.
thing about the cleaning side, it gives us a great opportunity to introduce ourselves and tell everyone about the restoration side. My guys
Cross-sell.
actually have incentives that if 3 years from now Miss Jones called us for water restoration that she heard about during her carpet cleaning, then they're incentivized to make sure they educate the client about other products that we offer.
you have to make sure that you cross-sell and upsell, right? I mean, that's
sure.
Absolutely.
You already have a relationship with them.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't you offer other services?
Absolutely.
Because if they enjoy it, and like you just said, you take it personally if they don't.
Right.
So we know that you're going to take the extra effort to take good care of them. Why wouldn't you offer them other services that
Correct.
you do? Yeah. You see a good bit of that?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it more coming from the commercial to the residential, the residential over to the commercial, or?
I'd say on the transition between the two, it's probably about half and half. I mean, it's
Okay.
because I mean you're cleaning for the guy, and all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, my office needs cleaning," and he's the decision maker there. Come give me a quote,
Right.
and vice versa. The people in the office see you cleaning their space, and they go, "Well, you did a good job here. I'm sure you'll do fine at my house." And so, a lot of transactions are done that way.
Right. That makes perfect sense to me. I mean, you should never, and I hope our listeners and our viewers take that to heart, because you should never allow an opportunity to slide past when you have an opportunity to introduce a different division or a different service offering when it comes to cross-selling and upselling. We're talking to Larry and Virginia Gates, the proprietors of Floorpro, and they're helping all of our listeners and viewers, Freddie, answer a number of business questions that their business probably has to go through, while at the same time learning a lot about this industry. And what would you call it, Larry? You call it just floor cleaning type of industry? I mean, when people just ask you for a 15-second, what is the 15-second that you got?
So I tell them we own a cleaning and facility, or a cleaning and maintenance, or a cleaning and restoration business.
Okay, cleaning.
Right.
Okay, flooring types of things.
Correct.
I'm sure with the restoration, water is probably one of the larger pieces of that.
Correct. Yes.
That's what I've heard. I've heard from other restoration companies that water seems to be. Thankfully, water seems to be, instead of fire or, and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't handle, when it comes to restoration, you don't handle, what is it called, critical or some type of
like crime scene cleanup.
Yeah, crime scene.
We don't do biohazards.
Okay, that's pretty in depth, isn't it?
It is, yes. A lot of the same concept of the mold and the water restoration. It's just one of those avenues we haven't explored, and I'm very comfortable where we are right now.
That would have
be
to,
good at what you're good at, and
that would make me extremely uncomfortable of having to do that type of work.
Yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
So I would probably stick with what you're doing. As
the
well.
conversations you have to have with people when something catastrophic happens in their life. I'm real close with my boys. I can't imagine having to have a conversation with the father about money right after something like that happened.
Right.
I'll let someone else do that.
Yeah. No, that's it's already catastrophic enough if your entire house floods.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or has a big smoke damage. I mean, just the emotional stress that you have to go under or to go through to have to just deal with that probably is pretty hard.
Oh, absolutely.
It is. We actually dealt with it firsthand ourselves, and all the flooding happened here in 2015. Our own house flooded. We lived over in Irmo at the time.
Okay.
And so we had certifications in the industry for how long, Larry?
At that point, it was only about 7 months. I mean, we were brand new in the industry.
Good timing.
All right, so literally,
and it was my first week on the job.
So literally,
very first week.
Her
on the
last
job.
day at her dental hygienist job was on Thursday. She started with me on Friday, and the phones for the flood started ringing on Sunday.
Oh my God!
So
it was really,
trial by water.
it was literally diving headfirst into the business, and it was overwhelming. Not just to process it personally, taking care of all of our neighbors down the street and anybody that caught our business. Thank goodness we have supportive family that watched our children while we ran nonstop. Taking fans in and out of one place to the next place, and just really crazy hours. And on top of, the non-emergent calls that we had folks that, just wanted carpet cleaning for their house and didn't understand why we couldn't service them in that week because so much of Columbia was under several feet of water in their businesses and homes. So it was nonstop starting out with that introduction to the industry.
Wow.
To me, a great thing about our own house flooding, though, is it gives you empathy, right? And then also there were some things that our company didn't do before that we learned. By having to cut out our own house. I mean, 4 foot up our entire house. If you walked in our garage, you saw the brick on the back wall. So the floors your kids learn to crawl on, you rip those out, right? Our house had just been put on the market, so obviously getting it put back together as quickly as possible so we didn't have to pay 2 mortgages is important.
Correct.
But one of the things, I think the biggest thing that we took from it was because it was a flood and there were so many people that needed dumpsters, we couldn't get a dumpster, so you put your stuff in your front yard. And so now you have an everyday reminder until it's gone of what's going on in your house, right? So out of sight, out of mind is such a great thing. if you get that contents that's torn out that you can't salvage and take it to the dumpster immediately, take it away from the house, it lets that person start to process and go, okay, things are getting better. Even though my house is a wreck, they're getting better. This is going. I don't have to worry about it.
Progress.
And so, absolutely. Because of that, I went and bought dump trailers. So if I cannot get a dumpster, I have a trailer I'll go bring to the house and we'll put it on a trailer and haul it off.
I love that, Larry.
That's awesome.
That is
awesome.
excellent advice for business owners to be able to learn of why they're doing the job and then pivot enough to be able to put new things in place to make the whole job just better for the customer itself.
As well as
That's
telling
excellent.
them the order of operations. Okay, this is what's going to happen next, or this is what we're doing, or this is what your insurance company is going to do. You're going to get a call from here. The adjuster is going to come out. We're going to meet them. So helping the client understand from start to finish too, this is the next step, and we have you that, you know, we're there to hold your hand the whole way, but this is what the next step is, and this is what's about to happen. So that's huge, letting them know, hey, we know because we've been there and we've walked through it, but let us explain to you what happens next. So that giving people that comfort, like as Larry mentioned, in a time of turmoil for their own personal lives, anything you can do to alleviate that is a great thing.
Exactly. And that's, looking back on it, it's kind of great that you guys went through that.
Absolutely.
Because you've been able to benefit to other people.
Of course.
I think when you go through life and you go through situations, there's always a different angle to look at it. You can be, for instance, when my other business went under, one of the guys who was a head guy of that company that filed Chapter 11, he called me and I was in a good mood. And he said, man, what? You know how much money you just lost? Why in the world are you in a good mood? Right. I said, man, listen, it's like this. You can sit and you can cry about it, or you can get up, brush yourself off, and put your head down and get back to work.
That's exactly
And that's just what you do. I mean, that's part of being, to me, that is the epitome of being a business owner.
That's
right. You're going to have your bad days. You're going to have things that happen that are completely out of your control. And if you can't brush it off and keep on moving, you're not going to be in the industry long.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw something else at you.
I'm ready.
So, I sit between a spouse and a spouse. So I want to know what it's like for you guys being married and working together. Can you shed some light on that for me?
I'll let her go
man,
first.
you're opening up Pandora's box.
I know.
Yeah.
I tried to do that gently.
Yeah. We should just open up a little arm wrestling match over here.
We can put a counseling number on the.
That's right. That's right. It's at the end of the day, you have each other's back, and you know that other person's there no matter what. So to me, we knew we were going to make it work no matter what. We are both very driven people, very competitive people. And so the will to succeed, as well as the need with having small children, it was of absolute importance for us to be able to make it work together. And I think respecting each other's strengths as well as weaknesses, and being able to complement each other is a big part of it. And then also knowing when to stay in your lane and not try to micromanage each other too is a big part of it. And as much as you want to leave it out the door at 5 o'clock, it usually doesn't. And so sometimes we do go in different directions throughout the day. We're not in the office all day together like people think when you have a business together. So being able to come together at the end of the day and say, okay, this is what we had going on today. What are we looking like for, tomorrow? Just being able to reconnect with each other. Sometimes if it's just for a few minutes, we spend a lot of time on our porch at our house and just have those moments of seeing where we're at, where we finished up for the current day, as well as exactly.
Love that.
And but there are challenging times too where it's difficult, and you love to hate each other some days, but again, going back to, having each other's back and knowing that, without a doubt that you are there to depend on each other and there to make it work and are invested because you're literally all in. So you have to have each other and be there together. So.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Freddie was referring to me and my wife here at our office. Sherry is our CFO, and we've never not worked together. And so we've been married almost 30 years, and we've never not worked together.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It was a one year stint we didn't work together, and I had to drop my daughter off at like a middle school cheerleading camp or whatever, and she was out of town. I remember laying her on the back of the bed, Freddie, and pulling her hair down to try and get it into one of these freaking ribbons that's on the back of her hair, and I just couldn't do it, and then had to drop her off where all the teenagers up there doing cheerlead camp, and I was like, nope, this ain't gonna work. I called her. She was in Atlanta at a meeting, and she quit that day and drove home. I was like, that's just not gonna work for me. So we've been working together ever since, but it takes a little while to learn those lessons, Virginia, that you were just talking about.
Yeah,
it really does. Like staying in your lane. It takes a long time because you don't treat your spouse the same as you treat other people. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad.
Correct.
But yeah, there's some learning curves when it comes to working directly with your spouse.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Larry, you and I can have a beer and drink and talk about those conversations off mic later. Freddie opened up Pandora's box with that situation. So what's been some of the harder things to figure out? Is it staffing? Is it equipment? Is it new customer acquisition? Is it software? For a small business, you have to prioritize expenses, right? What's been some of the harder things of the puzzle that you had to put together over the course of time? It could have been early on, it could be now, just over the course of time.
So for me, I think it's the when to let people go and do their own thing, right?
Okay.
So rules you hear on the radio, or not radio, but on reading books and stuff.
Yeah.
If they can do it 70% as well as you, well, they're good to go. Well, I don't see it that way. There's 30% not as good, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Taking the training wheels
absolutely,
off.
that's probably my biggest struggle.
As well as our own between each other, as we were
Okay.
talking about.
Okay.
Finding help is always a struggle.
Yeah.
Especially in our industry, it can be a struggle because construction and trades is always a struggle finding help.
Yeah. Man, I'm super pumped to have you guys on the show. We're talking with Virginia and Larry Gates of Floorpro. We appreciate you guys coming on. And we're talking about what some of the struggles that they have learned over time and what some of the things that you have to deal with, staffing and taking the training wheels off. Control over your customers and what you're doing is so vital to make sure, because it's a direct reflection on you as a business and you as a business owner. One of the things that I really liked about you guys, and I see this because I'm in, again, a networking group with Virginia and love being in there with you, is you guys concentrate on customer service. You always have, or at least since I've known you, right? Which has been a handful of years. I've been a customer of you guys multiple times, and so you guys have done work with me and my family in my house. Matter of fact, probably again very soon because of my dog, right? Hey, what you should do is start buying people a pet, and then they'll use you.
That's my promotional plan.
Yeah,
I think that every house cleaning should come with a free puppy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or,
it's
yeah.
guaranteed, man.
Yeah,
It's
kids,
guaranteed.
Repeat business.
Kids and pets keep us in business.
Yeah,
They
no
really
doubt.
do.
That is perfect. But one of the things that I see you guys have, which I just looked it up today, I already knew you guys dominated in this area, but you just on Google, you have 287 reviews and another 50 plus on Facebook, and they're all stellar reviews. I mean, literally stellar reviews. So Larry, when you're talking about you take it personal, that you do a great job, and if there's a mess up, that you take care of it. And Virginia, your customer service experience and skill set of communication is spot on. And just that tells the story. So I wanted to congratulate you guys publicly on air, because just that tells the story. There's no way you can have 320, 330 almost perfect reviews across the board on two different platforms. And I'm not even looking at the other platforms.
Right.
There's a ton of other platforms out there. People forget that you can leave a review on something that's not Facebook or something that's
Right.
not Google, right? And so there's literally hundreds of other reviews, and they're all stellar. So congratulations on that. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
guys
Thank
have done
you.
a really, really good job.
Thank you.
But part of your communication process, because you said that you text a picture of the technician that's coming out, that you text the time and, hey, we're on our way, and so on and so forth. I suppose you're using some type of automated software system for that.
We do now, but at first we did not.
Okay.
We originally we synced both of our Google calendars, and that's where we originally started with our appointments.
Okay,
and
wow.
I would
Right.
individually email each person that we took care of and to follow up with them after the service was completed to say, hey, how was our service? Blah, blah, blah. If there's an issue, please call us so that we can have it resolved. If we took great care of you, here's a link to our Google page or Facebook page. We would love it if you could leave us a review.
That had to be manually taxing.
Yeah, it was, but I knew that, that individual customer service was huge, and that was where the beginnings of our reviews came from. And we were able to graduate to a online platform that I could have it generated the next day, and if there's with the same follow-up email kind of thing, and it ended up being where the reviews just continue to pick up. And of course, you get more online presence. People say, oh man, I picked you because you had amazing Google reviews
Absolutely.
online, and that's why we
Absolutely.
picked you. So it's a really big deal having a great online presence, especially nowadays, not just because it's 2020, but because everybody's not going outside of
Having that automated ability to do that has to significantly increase the efficiency of what you're doing. I mean, it has to free you up significantly. There's no way to double the size of your business, to double the opportunity or triple the opportunities that you have, and effectively do that type of thing manually.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
correct. Absolutely.
Not anymore.
And the program we have links obviously with QuickBooks as well. So we're completely paperless.
Nice.
If you want a receipt from our company via paper, we're going to have to send it to you via snail mail.
Right.
We don't,
Oh, you want something paper? What is that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, right now we just happen to be in a weird time because there's places that's not even taking cash right
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
want a
We
paper
still take
receipt?
cash.
Yeah. Hey, let's put that out there. Larry Virginia Gate from Floorpro will definitely accept cash. Right?
That's right.
That's pretty good. So talk to me about, there's other flooring companies, right? I mean, any market you go in, you're going to find a number of floor cleaning companies, right? And so here is no different. The Greater Midlands of South Carolina. How do you differentiate your company versus someone else? I mean, what is the differentiator? If someone says, why should I use Floorpro versus someone else here? What's the difference maker?
So obviously it goes back to communication. We do really pride ourselves on the concierge level of service, and if you have a problem, fixing it. But we also we'll never send a crew out to your house that at least one of the people on that crew is not IRCRC certified. IRCRC is a certification platform that certifies everybody in our industry. For a firm to be IRCRC certified.
And what are you saying? Are you saying C? What is it?
IICRC.
IICRC. Okay.
Correct.
I see.
Yes.
And
And it's
so
the
that's
Institute for Cleaning and Restoration.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so that's who I have all my certification from. That's who write the standard for mold service or water restoration or fire.
Okay.
They write all those standards. And you can get all types of certifications via, it could be carpet cleaning, it could be upholstery cleaning, it could be odor control, fire. And then it takes a combination of those. I mentioned earlier that I was a master fire, master water, and master textile. Well, I've taken a lot of those classes to accumulate to get a master's degree, if you will, in that platform.
Okay.
Or in the IRCRC.
And so someone on every crew.
On every crew, the crew leader on that crew at least has one certification.
So
if you're
you're-
getting carpet cleaned, you're almost, 100% chance you're getting an IRCRC certified technician on that.
I think that is so important. And
Oh,
most
yes.
businesses, they always, when I ask the question, Freddie, what's your differentiator? They said, oh, well, our people. Well, I mean, tell me what business out there is going to say, no, our people stink.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, everybody's going to say our people are great, right?
That's right.
Right.
But very few can say that every single crew is going to have someone on the crew that has the credentials and certifications of basically expertise in what they're doing. And then how many people or how many businesses can say that they're going to overly communicate
Exactly.
from the time you schedule the appointment to the time that the technicians arrive into your place, whether it's commercial business or residential, to the point where I'm getting a picture texted to me of the technician that's coming, to the point where I'm getting a text of if there's anything that we can do better to serve you, please let us know after the thing's done. So we're talking overly communicate. We're talking someone is basically a master technician, if you will, on the crew. That definitely sets you guys apart. And it's vital that you are able to spell that out, to articulate what your differentiator is. I love that.
Absolutely.
So that's very good. So when it comes to, at this point, when it comes to the structure of your business, you've been in business 7 years. How far have you grown? I know you've grown past Larry Gates getting in his one van with his one piece of equipment and going out and doing every job. Where are you at today?
So, I mean, numbers to me say everything. We did our first $1 million year last year.
Dude,
so
that is awesome.
That's
pretty exciting.
Congratulations.
So
It
from
is.
first year 70,000 to $1.7 million, I'm happy with that.
Oh, yeah,
and you know,
absolutely.
at the end of the day, I think we're just starting to scratch the tip of the iceberg. The restoration division is really doing well.
And that's just catching some traction right now, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, started doing the restoration services about 3 years after we opened.
Okay.
But you know, to me, I don't like to do anything fast. My guys probably tell you.
You wanted to be an expert.
Absolutely. I want it to be right before I roll it out.
Right.
I love that.
And I don't care how long it takes.
Yeah.
It's going to be right before I do it. Right. And so it took me a few years to get my feet wet and start really knowing exactly how I wanted it to look. And I think we're there now for sure. Last year, my goal was one a week, one restoration job a week.
Yeah.
And I mean, by June, I wouldn't have needed any more to
accomplish that.
We did 8 water calls just last week, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Just last week. So
Wow.
we're definitely stepping that game up and very excited about it. I think this time next year, it'll look a lot different. I'm pretty happy.
I'm excited for you. I love seeing that type of growth. It's just, it just pleases me because I'm all about business building, as you
Absolutely.
guys know, right? And so coming from just helping people build their business, that just, it just makes me smile. There's no doubt about it. I love that. You know, going from $70,000 to $1 million, right? Lunch is on you next week.
Absolutely.
So the structure of your organization, do you consider the folks with the IICRC credentials, do you consider them like the technician managers of that job, or is there management levels?
So we would have an operations manager who oversees everything.
Okay.
That's one of the things that we're working on dividing up, right?
Okay.
Obviously, if we have a different division, we need different division
Right,
managers.
you got to have a structure.
And so we're currently working the kinks out on that. That we have a restoration manager, and then we have a operations manager who's over both. And eventually we'll get a cleaning manager who's just over cleaning. That's where I'm going with it. We're not there quite yet. We're well on the way.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of recap things that I've heard that you guys say, right? That just really things to remember for our listeners and our viewers that I've heard you guys really teach us and teach everyone that's listening on the show is cross-selling and upselling is very important. Never allow an opportunity to surpass because people already know you, they love you, they're doing business with you. Why not go ahead and explain what other services you can offer them? Customer service is vital. Larry, you take that personal. I love that. Virginia, you specialize in customer service. I've seen it play out because I'm a customer. It's really good you guys do that. I love what you guys were saying about reflect, learn, get up, and keep going when something happens to you. And then communication is absolutely key to success. You probably preach that and live that both internally and externally. You guys do an absolutely great job with communication. So I really appreciate you guys coming on our show today with the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. And I look forward to seeing you guys very, very soon. Thanks for coming.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for spending some time with us today on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Be sure to go to thebrainstormradio.com. That's thebrainstormradio.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Check us out on YouTube. And until next time, thanks for listening.